All right, so here we are. Now we're going to get started on the Jason Wright Show with the girls. Hey, girls.
Hey.
Hey, Dad.
Welcome home.
Thank you. Thanks for having us on the show.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, talk with those real close to your mouths, young
Like
lady.
this?
Oh, that's perfect.
Hello, hello.
Like
Oh,
that,
yeah,
right on there.
Yeah, so you have such beautiful voices. I want to hear them loud and clear. And then
Okay.
also, just so those of you watching at home, then that guy over there, that is Carmine. That is Rylan's boyfriend. So, just put on your microphone for a minute. So, young man, what are your plans for my daughter?
Oh, God.
Happy Thanksgiving. What are your plans? How do you plan to support my daughter?
No pressure.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Keep her happy.
That's a great
That's the right
answer.
That's
answer.
an
Okay.
amazing answer.
Mhm.
Okay, that's nice. That's nice. Well done. And just exactly how do you plan to do that?
Make lots of money.
No. Hey, yeah. Okay, that's always nice.
That's a supportful future.
Yeah.
No, it is. I like
Yeah.
that answer, but
Rylan loves that answer.
Flowers.
Don't
She
act
likes
like
flowers.
you
I do like flowers.
Buy her flowers.
I'm a simple things kind of.
Okay, so and Rylan, congratulations. Since the last time you were on the show, you have graduated from the University of Alabama. Well done, Roll Tide.
Thank you. It was a long time coming, but I did it.
Actually, it really wasn't that bad. It took you an extra summer.
True. Yeah.
It's not bad. So don't beat yourself up. I was okay with that. And and Carmine, you graduate
Probably in the summer also.
probably in the summer. Okay, and you're interviewing in Atlanta, and is that where you guys think you might want to settle? Is like you're both thinking, are you gonna follow him there? Is that what's happening? The Jason Wright audience would like to know what your plans are.
You know, that's definitely a conversation we're going to have.
Yeah, I mean,
Probably one-on-one.
yeah, that's the question I have for you, Riley. Is what are your plans for my daughter?
My plans for my daughter. As of right now, wherever the wind takes me, that's where I'm going to say for right now.
Oh dear Lord, that's real deep. That's real deep. Okay.
You know it.
So, all right. Well, then I'm glad to have you guys back. So we've already started the holiday tradition of movies, and the first one was Abby. Would you like to let everybody in on that?
Well, which one do you want to count as the first? The one we watched, I guess the first one I watched when I came in town, like we watched together, or the ones that I watched by myself?
Oh, well, what have you seen? What have you seen without me?
Okay, it's kind of bad. I've already watched several Christmas movies more than once. I've watched 4 Christmases about 2.5 times.
That's a good
I
one.
think that was the first one I watched this season. I've watched Christmas Vacation twice, I think. I have watched Santa Claus 1 and Santa Claus 3.
Pull closer.
Not
I've
too.
watched Home Alone 1 and 2.
Okay.
I've really already gotten through a lot of them. But last night, or 2 nights ago, we watched The Family Stone, which is like our family favorite. And then last night we watched Love Actually, which might be my new just favorite movie of all time. I mean, we've been watching it forever, but I think this year I declared it might be my favorite movie of all time.
Interesting.
Yeah. So, Rylan, have you started any Christmas movies yet?
We actually have.
Which
We've
one?
watched all 3 of the Santa Clauses. I watched Elf the other night.
I did watch Elf
I
too.
can't remember where. I think you were at work. I watched Elf. We watched both Home Alones. And I feel like there was one more. That might be it so far. So off to a decent start.
Carmine, what is your favorite Christmas movie?
Polar Express.
That's
Polar
a good
Express.
Fun.
Of course, this is what's weird is y'all were all little kids when that came out, right?
one.
Mm-hmm.
How were you girls when it came out?
Oh gosh, probably 5.
I don't know. I just remember we did like the Polar Express hot chocolate thing in like preschool, so
Yeah.
or maybe like first grade. So yeah, somewhere around that. I can't really
Either
remember
4
a
or
time
5,
without
5,
it.
6.
So
So yeah, I
Mhm.
guess you're about the same age. So wow, that's crazy that movie is that old.
Mm-hmm.
It's as old as you guys are. All right, so let's do a ranking. So I have an episode every year with my buddy Matt Wagner, who will be coming on the show, and we discuss our favorite movies. And so I would like to know what your top 3. You can only watch 3 Christmas movies at all. They're the last 3 you get to watch. What are your top 3? Abby, go.
oh gosh, me first. I think I'm gonna have to go with Elf comes to mind. It's not one of my personal favorites, but Elf is just so encapsulating of the holiday season that I think I have to include that one. Probably maybe Home Alone 2.
Ooh.
I love that movie. I don't know why. I love Home Alone 1, but Home Alone 2, gosh, and it's like I'm torn between like a Love Actually, where it's sort of like a rom-com Christmas situation, or something like Disney's A Christmas Carol. I freaking love that movie.
Really?
So yeah, it's a tie between those two, but yeah,
Okay.
that's 4, but those
Okay.
are my favorites.
Carmine, do you have a list?
I have a top 3.
Go.
Santa Claus, the first one.
Yeah.
Polar Express and The Grinch.
Have you? Okay, so those are all good, and especially the fact that you throw in a real classic. I like that. So, did y'all know that Disney Plus has a Santa Claus series that they're starting?
I watched the first 2 episodes of it actually.
Is it any good?
It's a little cheesy, but Scott Calvin's good in it. Like
So
the
it's like
original,
the
the
same-
original cast is still very good in it. I question some of the new people, but
Yeah.
it's decent.
Okay. Okay. Well, and hold real quick. So some of the new actors are questionable in the new series, but otherwise pretty. The good news is, so I read this article about Tim Allen, who they kind of nixed from Buzz Lightyear, the new one, and Disney, who I think owns ABC. They canceled Last Man Standing, which was his show that was really successful in a Friday night time slot, which is unusual to have a successful show. And so I was surprised that they actually did that show with Tim Allen again. But and anything he does, the dude's hilarious.
I agree. I really like him.
All right, so Rylan, your top 3.
My top 3: Christmas Vacation,
Okay.
for sure.
Yep. Classic.
I'm also gonna say Home Alone too.
Well,
That
now
one-
I want to add Christmas Vacation. I think I'm going to replace that with Elf. So anyway, continue.
Really?
Mhm.
Wow.
I'm gonna agree with Abby though. There's some I love the first Home Alone, but the second Home Alone, there's just something about it. The being in New York, I don't know, love it all. The third one, that's hard. I'll say Four Christmases because
Oh, yeah.
anytime I watch that, I just die laughing. It's
Yeah.
just that I can never not like that movie.
Yeah. Favorite scene. Funniest scene.
Personally, I really like whenever they're at the church and
Yes.
Vince Vaughn's Jesus
Yes.
and Mary's just
Woman,
Shut-
swaddle this baby.
swaddle this baby.
Calls her an unfit mother.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I picked up on that line kind of recently, and I lost it. So funny.
I think my favorite scene, of course, it always involves Vince Vaughn, which, by the way, going back to last year, so I was just giving Vince Vaughn way too much love during my Christmas list on my episode with Matt Wagner, and he's like, "Yeah, you totally had a Vince Vaughn man crush going on," which was accurate.
Him and Ryan Reynolds.
But yeah, that one. Well, I kind of look like him too. I've got my Ryan Reynolds glasses on today, so for those of you watching on the
His
YouTube,
muse.
yeah, it's my muse. So the scene where Graham says what she's going to do. Yeah, that's what she wishes for, is to give Howard more oral pleasure or whatever.
Yes.
And Vince Vaughn goes, "Did she just say that?" That's probably one of
She
my.
was a little out of pocket
I love
there.
when Graham greets Vince Vaughn, and he goes, "Oh, Graham, that's my belt.
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
my
yeah,
belt.
yeah,
It's
thank-
attached to me.
thank-
Thank you.
thank-
Merry
thank you.
Christmas.
Merry
Thank you. Merry Christmas.
And then she goes, "I get it." It's like, wow.
I have a question about a Christmas movie. Have you ever seen? It's like a mix of a comedy and a Christmas movie. I think is it called Just Friends with Ryan Reynolds in it?
Okay, it popped up on my recommendation list.
I
for Christmas
loved
movies.
that movie.
Really?
We watched that movie last year. Whenever he started off as
Real fat.
yeah,
and
real
like-
fat,
yeah.
overweight, and then he becomes successful trying to get the girl he had a crush on in high school. I really enjoyed that movie.
Really?
I highly recommend it. Yep.
Jimlin and I started it, but we didn't finish it. I don't think. I didn't make it. You know what? A new one. It's out on the peripheral that just got added this year. Is Serendipity.
Yes.
I've never seen that. I don't think.
Okay, well, I had never watched the movie. It's one of your grandmother's favorite movies. She loves that movie, and we all go to Serendipity in New York, and so I was like, and also I didn't know that it was kind of a Christmas movie, and that one's got it's kind of one of those. It's there's kind of like the off-brand Christmas movies, right? You got the ones that are right there in the wheelhouse, the heart and soul ones, but then there's the off-brands that kind of lead you into it, so you got a little runway getting into the holidays, and I definitely put Serendipity now in that category. I'm glad, because I need those movies that I don't feel bad about watching too early and watching without you guys home. Whenever I want you guys to be here for the real deals.
Is it kind of like the category of correct me if I'm wrong, like Daddy's Home? Could you
Yes.
count that as Christmas a
Absolute-
little bit, but don't feel
absolutely.
guilty watching it out of season?
We
just
put that one on last night when we were cooking dinner.
yeah
Really?
yeah for that reason because it's a good background Christmas movie. Okay, so if you guys had to guess my top 3, could you do it?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Number 1, It's a Wonderful Life.
Okay.
Number 2, A Christmas Carol.
Ooh, that,
I think not the like original, but the one right after it. I forget the actor's name in it.
Patrick Stewart.
Yes. 3, Elf.
Can I give my
Or
guesses?
Christmas Vacation.
I'm going to say It's a Wonderful Life,
Yes.
Christmas Vacation, and A Christmas Story with Ralphie.
Oh.
Yeah, and see, this is the thing. I'm glad you guys, y'all got the list pretty good. I honestly, it's a hard question to answer. I think definitely It's a Wonderful Life because it's my favorite movie of all time for sure. And then, yeah, I think it's going to be alternating between Christmas Vacation and A Christmas Story and definitely, but I could put, it's the TNT version of A Christmas Carol that you're referring to. And the reason I love that so much because of the year that, I guess it was the year you were born, Rylan, that came out. And so I'm like, I've always loved it.
You know which one we're forgetting about? It's also a complete classic.
Let me think. Which one?
Scrooged.
Oh, yeah. And that's a Wright family. See, okay.
That's
see,
a great one.
See, that's the thing too. There are certain Christmas movies that only apply to like individual families. Abby and I were talking about that. Like some people, whenever you talk about Christmas Vacation, they're just like completely out on it. They won't have anything to do with it.
Yeah, they don't get it.
They don't get it. They don't understand. Or I've heard a few haters on A Christmas Story.
Really?
Yes.
That is shocking.
I know that's just kind of un-American if you ask me. And what I'm excited about, and you can't let me forget about this, we need to look this up. Let me check here. Let me check my sources here. The next Christmas Story is coming out, the new one.
Yes, the new one
Is it already out on HBO?
Is it?
It's already out.
with Vince Vaughn, right?
Yes. Okay. Then
Always goes back to Vince Vaughn.
always
I
goes
didn't
back to
realize he was in
Vaughn. Well, and I'll tell you, I was so worried that whenever, and I told Abby this whenever I found out that it was coming out, that I was like, oh gosh, this is going to be, if they're going to ruin this, you know, that's going to really suck. But then whenever I found out that Peter Billingsley, who happens to be real life close friends with Vince Vaughn is one of the producers. I was like, okay, this is going to be good.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, so I'm excited to see that.
Yeah.
Peter
Me too.
Billingsley is Ralphie, right?
Yep.
That's what I
Yep.
thought.
Who I didn't even realize until I think you told me that he was in
Four Christmases?
Four Christmases.
Yes.
He's the guy that's at the ticket desk.
The airline dude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah. So I can't wait. All right. So let me ask. Let's just Let's just put the focus on Rylan for a minute.
Oh gosh.
Yeah. Let's see here. It's just the girls. There we go. That got y'all on the screen. Okay. So this is since I guess what October.
Mm-hmm.
You have your first real job for the Jason Wright audience. How's it going? Which, by the way, I got to brag on you. So, parents out there listening, Rylan Wright is self-sufficient. She has graduated. She is providing her own shelter, her own food. So she's all grown up. So how's it going?
It's good. It's
Okay.
definitely it's a change. Obviously, I think it is for everybody, but it's for the better.
Yeah.
Like I really like being, predominantly independent, or for the majority independent. Definitely, it makes you realize how expensive the real world actually is.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a learning process, but my job, it's going good so far. I've learned a lot more than I ever thought I could about the job, and even about myself a little bit. I do sales, and so it's entry level sales. Which, if any of you have ever done that, y'all probably know you're in the doghouse at first for sure. But you definitely learn to be okay with being uncomfortable. You learn to deal with rejection pretty well from random people who don't want to talk to you. But it's also it's very rewarding because I find myself enjoying having good conversations with people I don't even know what they look like. I don't know anything about them. I'm learning about them and their business. That's definitely a fun part of it. And it keeps keeps it entertaining for sure.
Yeah. It's cool. Like I'm proud of you because I know it is a beat down whenever you're smiling and dialing and
Smiling and dialing, yeah.
You know, it's crazy. So, and Goose, you are in your last year at the University of Colorado. So, how's it going, and what's the next chapter look like?
What's the plan? That's the $1 million question. So yeah, senior year is going great. This is my last semester where I'm like taking I'm taking 15 credits right now. Next semester I'll only be taking 9, plus I'll still have my job and everything. So it's just gonna be like a big adjustment. I'm used to taking a lot of credits, but yeah, that's not the interesting part. But after that, I'm planning on graduating in May, and my goal is to find a job in New York City. That's kind of the dream right now. Don't know if it'll happen, but I'm really hoping for that. I'm going to use this next semester to just really figure out what it is specifically I want to do. I have so many ideas, but I'm really going to just take the extra time that I'll have next semester to figure it out. And yeah, I'm shooting for New York, so that's the latest, but we'll see.
Totally see
Who
you in
knows?
New York.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and just so people know, you want to be a writer.
Yes. So my major is communications and my minor is creative writing. I've always, like my dad, I literally cut from the same cloth. Apple doesn't fall far from the tree. I love to write. I love to write stories.
Except you're actually good at it. You know, so there is a difference.
Well, I learned a lot from you. But I love to write stories. I specifically love fiction. That's my favorite, but pretty much I'll write anything. I love words. I like making things sound pretty. That's kind of my thing. So I'm hoping to go into publishing or editing, and hopefully I can pair it with a niche of mine. I love food. I love cooking. I love art. And so I'm hoping to kind of combine those passions and maybe find a cool publishing company that produces cookbooks or something like that. But yeah, I'm open-minded. We'll see.
Very cool. All right. And Carmine, so what you want to be a financial advisor, right? Mm-hmm. Okay, so talk a little bit about that. What is the ideal situation? Because we have a lot of and by the way, we have a lot of very successful people that listen to the Jason Wright show. So you never know where your next contact might come from, my friend.
That's true. I guess my plan is right now is hopefully I get this job in Atlanta. It's as a financial planner, not an advisor, but I could always work my way into the advising group later on. So it's just a good starting ground for me, which I'm more excited for on that part. But my plan in the future is hopefully I want to do financial advising for athletes, like professional athletes, like MLB, NHL, NFL, even the MLS for soccer and everything like that. I just want to be in that area just because I'm huge on sports, love watching sports, and I love money and stocks and everything else in between. So I feel like if I can combine the two and do what I love, then I feel like I'll be more successful in it than just taking care of people that want to retire.
Yeah. So it's interesting that you say that because I just had a guy on the show yesterday that I interviewed. I haven't aired it yet. A guy that's become a good friend of mine, a wildly successful entrepreneur named Doug Pick. And he lives out on the West Coast, went to USC, and he wanted to be in the music business really bad. And I mean, all the way to when he was 13, he was taking pictures for Motley Crue, and Nikki Sixx would literally come to his house and check out his pictures and pick the ones that he liked. I mean, it's a really cool story. And he ended up creating one of the largest earplug companies in the country. Walgreens, CVS, Rite Aid, all of them. And then Amazon Basics, they all ended up carrying Heroes earplugs that the company that Doug created. Mm-hmm. And we talked about that, how I guess it was Jerry Moss was the guy who was running the CEO of A&M Records, that he reached out to interview him while he was in his entrepreneurial program at USC, and he went to work for A&M Records. And so we talked about how you don't have to go be a professional hockey player, baseball player, football player, whatever, to still have something to do with the industry, and how cool it is and how that will drive you to want to do well in an industry, just because you're somehow taking this other completely different vocation, but applying it to something that you love and you really get excited about. And that's what he did with the music business. He said that he went to a couple of concerts. I guess he was at I think it was at a Motley Crue concert or a Jane's Addiction concert. The drummer of Jane's Addiction, Sam Phillips, has been his friend for like 45 years.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. And so he's at a show and he's sitting there, he's looking around. He goes, wow, there's 4 guys on stage, all of which have earplugs. There's 2,000 people in the audience that don't have earplugs. He's like, and they would probably like them, just when you want to hear the music, but also you want to kind of silence it, or same thing at like at bars, like at raves, or like whatever, EDM clubs. And so it's I cannot wait to air that episode. It's phenomenal. So, so I think that's smart to like find something that you can tag on to another industry to keep you excited. I've got a friend, as a matter of fact, one of y'all's friends, Rylan, that same class as you, different school, All Saints, Hannah Waits, loves golf, loves sports. She was always an athlete. I saw her mom yesterday, and Hannah is working as a tour rep. Essentially for a sports marketing company.
Oh, that's awesome.
And so she's going to golf tournaments and, getting to do that, so even though she was always an incredible athlete when you guys were growing up, right?
Yeah.
And so even though she's not playing sports anymore, she's still at least associated with it. Mm-hmm. So I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
All right. So while I've got you young adults in the room, at this point in life, I'd like to know, so Rylan, we'll start with you since you are the one of the three. You're the only one other than me that's graduated from college. Mm-hmm. If you had to start over, or no, let's not do that. I don't do that because there's people listening. Maybe they could DM me, you. If you had, you've got right now probably 50,000 people eventually listening to this, mm-hmm. plus your dad, and all the 50,000 are probably a lot smarter than me. What is something you would love to know about where you go from where you are right now in your career to where you're wanting to go over the next 5 years? What are like some of the things, or do you have any questions for people that have gone before you that are in an industry that you think might look cool? Just what advice would you like to have?
I would like to know, honestly, how long does it take to know that you've landed the job of where you're supposed to be? I think. Because, I'll use my job for an example. It's great. I love the people I work with and stuff like that, but sometimes I'm sitting there and I'm like, is this meant for me? Like, is this what I'm supposed to be doing type thing? And so I wonder how many, I guess, trial and error there is to get to that point. I know some people come right out of college and they're like, yes, this is what I want to do. I landed my dream job right away. Then I really think there's a lot of people who are just like me who are like, I wonder what else I could do or where can I be happier within a job? And I wonder if, honestly, how, like, when do you know?
So let me ask you this. What do you love to do that you're absolutely not able to do while doing this job?
I would say fully express my creativity.
So you're not able to be creative, so that's kind of being held back.
No, not so much.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
Very direct.
And what does your creativity look like?
Some things I like to do. I love photography. Like one of my jobs that I have, like I'll use Cravings for an example. I love doing that job because I get to take pictures and edit them and post things, get my mind flowing of like what I want to say, what can I do to reach more people, stuff like that. I think that's a good job where I get to really express my creativity. And I mean, I guess right now within this job, it's a little bit harder.
So let me ask you this. What does let me ask you another question before I ask you that one. Does your boss know that you have this creative outlet and this desire to unleash it?
Yes. She knows I'm a very creative person. She knows what I like do as my hobbies and stuff like that.
Is there potential for you to be more creative at work one day, eventually, after you go through this step?
Within the same company?
Yeah.
That I'm not sure of.
Okay. Have you looked for things outside of what you're doing right now that you could potentially parlay this experience within the company that you're in that gives you more? Because it's a huge company. Mm-hmm. So obviously there's marketing, there's advertising, there is, and also strong online presence, obviously. Definitely. Since that's where the company lives. And we're not saying it just because I don't want to say it because look, I'm protective of my daughter, and I don't want your employer to hear this and have anything wrong with it.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, it's e-commerce, it lives online, it is sales and marketing. So there's a lot of room for creativity. So have you explored avenues within the company?
They've actually gone over a lot of different routes you can take within the company, mm-hmm. but I'm pretty sure it's years down the line. Mm-hmm. I believe there's a certain amount of time where you have to do this position, mm-hmm. and then it opens you up to a lot of different opportunities. I believe the most popular one is management.
Right.
They don't really talk a whole lot about if people go into the marketing side or I guess what I would want to do is like digital marketing or something like that. They don't really go into that. So it's definitely something to ask.
All right. So since you've got this job, are you still at least flexing that creative muscle every chance that you can and and looking for ways to monetize it?
I actually try to.
Okay.
I still like to draw a lot in my free time.
Mm-hmm.
I created a little Instagram page just to kind of post like my different photography or my artwork, stuff like that, and I have fun with that. I've been doing a lot of people's graduation pictures, which I'm loving. I love doing that.
Mm-hmm.
And so anytime somebody asks me, hey, like, can you take my graduation pictures? I'm like, yes, please, let me. And so I try to the most I can. Sometimes I forget. And I definitely need to work on doing that 100% just to keep that creative flow going. Yeah.
So the creative process and just that talent is something that you should always all of you should look for in your job. There's a researcher, and I can't call his name right now. And also, let me back up a little bit. Creativity is one of the single most difficult things to either train or find in workers because you can't quantify it, right? A quant, you can, for in the finance industry, if you're running a hedge fund or you're doing private equity, the quants are just really, really good at math and science, right? They have an engineering brain, and you can actually qualify that as to how well you're adapted to that type of job. Creativity is one of those things that it's just really hard to quantify, but it's the one superpower that every company is looking for, every organization is looking for. Also, the older you get, and this is why it's important for you guys where you are right now in your early 20s, starting your careers, the older you get, the less creative you're going to be if you don't pay attention. It happens. And like, for example, the research I was referring to at NASA, they wanted to have more creative employees on their engineering staff, and they had no idea how to find, because these are guys that are STEM guys at the time, men and women who were engineers, and they just weren't, and some of them were kind of creative, but they didn't know how to qualify to figure out which ones were most creative, and that's what they needed. They knew they needed more creativity. So this researcher, behavioral scientist of some kind, he creates a test that could test, like, and what he did was he took, I think, if I'm not mistaken, he took a jar of M&Ms, put it on a table, and he asked all the engineers, give me another use for these M&Ms and this jar. I think I've got that right. And so the most creative ones would find all these different things they could do with the M&Ms and the jar, right? And here's the cool thing. Okay, so of the scoring that he prepared, which was very simple and had a lot of utility value, he was able to figure out which ones scored on his score the highest in creativity. But here was the amazing thing. He took the exact same test and gave it to a group of children. And I can't remember how young they were, but they were less than teenagers. They were less than under 18 for sure, and probably around, I think if I'm not mistaken, they were like 5 to 8 years old, really young. They scored on average higher than the NASA engineers on creativity, these kids. And what they discovered whenever they found this out, they're like, well, this is nuts. What they found is the longer you go, the more you get into a lane, the more you start to just kind of get squeezed by society, then you realize that your creativity just sort of gets sapped out of you. And so I would just say, babe, and I know we talk about this a lot, just keep doing the art, the drawing, the photography, and all those things. And I know you're charging for your graduation photos, right?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Because that's one of the things too, that most entrepreneurs, a lot of entrepreneurs think that, well, until I can scale up and sell, 1 million of a thing, I'm not even going to try to sell one of a thing. No, get your first sell. That's one of the things that Doug picked that I was mentioning earlier. It's one of the things he did. He took some of his earplugs to a bar just to test, to see if he could sell one pair of earplugs to test his theory. And he did. He sold it really quickly. So, it's real important that you at least try to sell something. You don't have to sell a whole bunch of a thing. You don't have to scale immediately, but you do have to sell something. So, okay. So, and I guess and just to answer you from my perspective, your dad's perspective, I don't think you ever know for sure until all of a sudden you'll know it when it comes, and there is no timeline. It could happen. I will say this: there is a lot more enjoyment once you've mastered something, and so right now with you having to make the phone calls, you're going to naturally find whatever it is that you do. You know, Abby, you probably seen this with writing. You know, whenever you can construct a creative sentence, and you know, really, it just feels good. And you know, Carmine, what you'll figure out is whenever you can really throw a pitch at somebody to make them realize this guy really understands the financial future that we're seeking, and he cares about what I'm trying to do. And I think that our plans, he can help me get there. You feel better once you master something. So I would tell you this: if you want to find the quickest way to determine whether or not what you're doing is the right thing and whether or not you're ever going to enjoy it, first and foremost, figure out what it takes to master that job. What is go find who is the absolute best at the thing that I'm doing. Who are they? And try to do that thing. And that becomes, it's not even a matter of making money. It's not a matter of getting promoted. It's just a matter of mastery and concentration. And then once you've mastered it, if you don't enjoy doing it at that time, because that's when your brain, the cognitive load has come way lower. Our brain loves to do things it's good at, but it's going to do one of two things. It's either going to it's going to get really good at it and then become a virtuoso at it. Great example, Charlie Parker, who was probably one of the greatest jazz musicians of all time, if not the greatest of all time. He was a mentor to John Coltrane. John Coltrane becomes a perfect technical player, right? I mean, he's just amazing. But he wasn't getting a lot of notoriety, not like Charlie Parker was. It wasn't until he had mastered his craft and then started putting his signature John Coltrane, sound on it, that then he loved it. And that's why artists are they find a flow state and find pleasure because they are exercising their creativity muscle, and they master the basics so that they can then be, virtuosos in some, kind of take it to the next level. So I would just suggest that if this is the job you're in right now, try to be the absolute best at it. And then once you become the best at it, or as good as you possibly believe you can be, you're hitting all the metrics in your quarterly and annual reviews. If you don't like it at that point, then you'll know that you'll probably never like it. That's just one suggestion. All right. Abigail, what advice would you like from the Jason Wright Show audience or from your dad?
So actually, to your point, you mentioned how creativity is not something you can quantify. I've sort of run into an issue where I feel like, how do I get people to believe that I know, 'cause I don't necessarily have I don't have any specific credentials that make me a good writer. I honestly have no idea if I'm a good writer. I think I am based on certain things. But then I get down on myself, and I'm sure you can relate to this. You write something, you think it's good, and then you go back and read it a couple days later, and you're like, it sounds like a 5-year-old wrote it. And it's like, how do I know if I'm good or not, or if I'm just dreaming too big? I guess that's an issue I've kind of run into. How do you kind of show that you're good at what you do? Another thing that I've run into a lot is and I know, Dad, you can relate to this. Rylan, you can relate to this. We're all creative people. I have just this an inherent, just a desire to create, whatever that means. I love writing. That's just one of my favorites. But I also love cooking. Food is such a creative outlet for me. And I also love art. I love painting. I wish I would do any 3 of those things full time if I could.
Me too.
And so, I find myself being I pretty much believe that if I chose one and just dove into it full throttle, full speed, I think I would do really well at it. But then it's but what about my other 2 creative pursuits that I want to do? And then it's and so it's just, time is a thing. All three of those things take so much time, and that's such a valuable resource that I feel if I spend too much time pursuing writing, and I don't make it, well, it's just so time consuming. It's did I do the wrong thing? And so, just kind of really honing in on a focus has been really hard for me, and being able to just I don't know, I guess I struggle sometimes with believing in myself, and wondering if other people will believe in me. So that's kind of where I'm at.
Well, I think that one's a pretty easy one to answer, in that if you write for yourself, write the book that you would read. You're not, and that's the thing. We're all individuals, right? We're all individual little snowflakes. There's no 2 alike. But here's the cool thing. We're not so unique that the thing that you like, there's not a bunch of other people that like that thing. Always write and create the thing that you like, that resonates with you. And also always remember that and this is what I think a lot of people fall victim to, especially creatives. They think that creativity is not of enough value to do just for the sake of creating. And that is absolute bullshit. You should absolutely create just to flex that muscle. And, Stephen Pressfield, who his first novel was The Legend of Bagger Vance, okay, one of the most prolific writers now. He teaches on writing. The guy is awesome. Then he wrote Gates of Fire, which, was basically 300, what became the movie 300. Incredible author. And he also wrote The War of Art, which is such an incredible book for any creative, which is about fighting the resistance, fighting the self-doubt, fighting the, I'm not making any money at this. It took him 30 years of writing before The Legend of Bagger Vance. He just kept on and kept on and kept on. And I think, first of all, write for the joy of it, paint for the joy of it, take pictures for the joy of it. And if you can get paid for it, awesome. But never stop doing it. Next thing, every successful executive that I've ever worked with, they have space on their calendars for creativity, leisure, learning, and challenge that has nothing to do with their job. Nothing to do with it. You have to prioritize the things that absolutely fire you up and drive you in this life. You have to prioritize those things, because if you don't, there will always be something that's the quote unquote real life that will get in the way of that thing that you feel like is just vanity or pleasure or something to that effect. So I think it's always, and then don't be afraid of rejection. That's the thing, Abby. Eventually some publisher,
it's a big part of it for me.
Yeah. Some publisher or editor is going to go, yeah, this is pretty good. We're going to, and the cool thing is most people, more people than not, don't think they're good, won't even try, as Teddy Roosevelt said, won't even get into the arena. So if you just keep showing up every day, showing up. Winston Churchill famously said that success is going from failure to failure without loss of enthusiasm. So just keep pushing, no matter what, for the sake of being creative, for you, for your brain, for what it does, for the stimulation you get from it. And then always tell your brain what you want. That's something that you have to do. You have to tell your brain, I want to be a writer. What does that look like? I want to write for a national publication, an international publication. I want to do copywriting for a cooking business, for Blue Apron, for Hello Kitchen, or Hello Fresh rather. I want to do this. I want to wake up every day. Tell your brain, because what will happen is it will activate your reticular activating system. And your reticular activating system will scan in the subconscious those things that you're saying that you want. And then when all of a sudden it'll put these dots together, it will pick up on things that you don't even realize and bring them to the fore to your conscious. And then all of a sudden you go, oh, I can do this to make money doing that. It's crazy. So always tell your brain what you want to do.
I like that.
All right, Carmine, you want any advice for the financial folks out there, or from the financial folks?
Mine as well. So I guess involving financial planning, it's not just being a planner. You have to be an entrepreneur, because I have to be able to get my own clients. They're not, you don't get a list. You can't cold call people. You have to know people that you want as clients and everything, and reach out to them. And I know I can sell a financial plan. I know I can tell them, I can show you your future. The thing is, how do I make someone believe that I'm the right person for them? Instead of just selling a plan, how do you make them believe in you as a person?
That's a good one. So the thing about your industry, Carmine, is that it's commoditized. This is what I tell you. And having been in a service industry, that's my first company I ever bought was a real estate firm, right? And I used to always, after I'd been in it for a while, I would actually laugh at when another brand would pop up and talk about how they were going to revolutionize the real estate industry with how they did things. And the bottom line is they weren't. I'm not going to sell a house any differently than most anyone else. At the end of the day, it comes down to how you add value and how you connect with that person in a way that they like doing business with you. And I think that's one of the things that if you're going to be in any service business that is commoditized, which like financial services, accounting, real estate. See, here's the thing. you're in a business, you're going to be going into a business that they can do for themselves. Now they won't do it well for the most part. Most individual investors don't do well for themselves, or you're talking about the professional athlete. I would start looking for, how can I solve problems for this person? Will you shut that door? How can I solve problems for this person beyond their financial well-being, but beyond their financial needs? And here's what I mean, because let's say that you're a professional athlete. You're traveling all the time. Your time is always in demand. You want to do nothing but focus on your trade, what you're doing, right? You want to focus on your craft. I would make sure that you remove all worry and concern with their finances. I would also go, and it is something that have you found people that are doing that for professional athletes? Have you found what's the kind of the prototypical? I mean, I'm thinking it's probably former professional athletes that they have a network. It's kind of like a congressman that becomes a lobbyist. I know here in town, Philip Chick, who played professional baseball, that's what he has now. He's a financial advisor, and he's doing very, very well. Have you looked to see what the typical guy that's calling on former athletes or current athletes, what their profile is?
No, not yet. I've mostly just been focused on getting my foot in the industry first before I figure out if I'm ready to even take that step, because when I'm ready to take that step, I want to create my own firm anyways. Mm-hmm. So I want to first learn everything about the industry.
Okay. Well, that's the thing that I think as you get into it, the only thing that you're going to have that you can scale, really, in my opinion, in that business is trust. You know, that's one of the things that Seth Godin always talks about, is it's like the hardest thing there is to scale. Like, you know, trying to create 1 million more widgets year over year requires scaling in operations, capital expenditure, all this sort of thing. In a service industry, the only thing that you can really scale is trust. People have to trust you. And so I would figure out all the ways to make that possible within the industry that you're going to serve. That would be that'd be my advice. And again, if anybody else has anything that you'd like to send in, please, by all means, let me know. So, all right, next question, Rylan, we'll just come back to you. Mm-hmm. Where do you see yourself? You got it on. Where do you see yourself in 5 years? Where do you want to be in 5 years? What do you want your life to look like?
What do I want to be in 5 years? There's a lot of different things that I could see myself doing. I could see myself opening my own photography business. I could see myself, what I think would be a pretty kick-ass job would be to be a part of the marketing team for a pro sports team. Whether it's NFL, MLB, anything like that, doing something within sports marketing. I think that has been a dream job for me for a while. What else?
Which, by the way, I cannot believe how many sports management jobs there are. You know, I had Mike Boykin, who I tried to connect you with. He was on the show, it's been over a year ago now, and he said that the sports management program he graduated from, I think was one of like 2 in the country at the time. Now they're just, every school has some sort of sports management program. It's really nuts.
Yeah. I wish I would have gotten into that program.
Yeah.
I didn't know about it.
Yeah.
So I wish if I could go back, I'd definitely do that.
Abby, what do you think you want to do? What would life look like in 5 years?
So that's the thing about me. I don't know. Yeah. I don't need to.
You don't have
know.
to, by the way.
It's
You're young.
very tough.
I know. But the thing is with me, I don't know specifically what job I'm going to have. I don't really have a clear vision of that, other than hopefully like one of the ones that I talked about earlier. But in 5 years, my goal, I hope to just be, it sounds so cheesy, I hope to be happy. But seriously, I want to know who I am, which I feel like I know who I am, but I want to just be really firm in who I am, firm in what I'm doing, comfortable where I'm at. I don't want to, hopefully I'm not like still kind of like, oh, what's next? I hope I'm just sort of settled in a way. I hope I'm in a place that I love. I would love it to be New York City, but who knows? I mean, I might move there for a year, and a year might be enough. But yeah, I hope to be in a place that I love, and I hope so bad that I have sort of at least in some way monetized one of my creative pursuits. I hope that hopefully that'll be my big job, but I also hope that like I do something for myself, like have my own type of business of some kind that feeds my creativity, or I'm able to just like, hopefully, I mean, reaching really big, maybe I'll have a book published by then. Like that's a very like tangible goal of mine. Something like that. I just hope that, or maybe I don't know, I've sold a bunch of art. Maybe I have a whole collection of paintings that are on like an online shop, just something like that. I hope really bad that in 5 years I've achieved like one of those things. Even if I don't make any money from like that side hustle, I hope I've done something for myself creatively that I've at least tried to make money from it, if that makes sense.
Yeah. And I definitely just want to be like financially stable wherever I am in 5 years.
Yeah. The secret to that is this. Okay, you ready? I mean, I'm sorry y'all can't write this down. Here's the secret. Spend less than you make. Okay, there you go. There you go. I know it's
Yes.
just genius, right?
Yeah.
Save early, save often. Live off 80% of your income. Tithe 10 or give away 10, and save the other 10.
I have a question for you.
Go for it.
It's an advice question. What do you think about like when should I get a credit card, or should I get a credit card?
I'm scared to get a credit card.
Those are like those little real life things that I'm still like I haven't figured out quite yet.
So here's what I did. So your grandfather had me scared to death of credit cards. That's probably why y'all have kind of that
Dave
fear.
Ramsey has me scared of
Dave
credit
Ramsey
cards.
has me scared of a lot.
That's good. That's good. That's good. You're wise. So I think that you need credit to build. So here's the deal. Credit, like anything else, and a credit card, like anything else, it's a tool. That's all it is. And if you'll leverage it to your benefit, then it's good. Now, I would suggest right now, here's the cool thing too. You guys are poor, and it's good. You're supposed to be poor because you're in your early 20s. No one expects you to be crushing it right out of school. Nobody cares about your car, your house. Nobody cares. You're just either finishing school or you just graduated. So during that time, what I would do right now is start all the saving habits right now. And when it relates to credit cards, I think you say, okay, I'm going to get one. It's for emergency use only. Because there could be a time when you're traveling, you don't have the cash, you don't have your debit card, or you don't have enough cash in your debit card. Also, do this. If you get a credit card, think it through. It's going to have a low credit limit. You're going to be able to turn it off and on. You know, it's just, and again, it's just a tool. It's just for emergencies. And here's the thing too. It's not used to be able to purchase things you can't afford. In other words, it's not used for the actual credit sake of it. What it's used for is convenience. That's all it's for, because you're going to pay off the balance every single time you get it. And the first time that you ever receive a credit card bill, if you get the credit card and you receive the bill and you can't pay it off, you should be scared to death. That should be a siren going off going, holy crap, I've just done something I shouldn't have done because I can't pay this credit card off. All right. So I would say it's not so much, I think get one pretty early, just leverage it as a tool, because there might come a time when you need some credit to buy a car. Now, and here's the thing too, guys, that what I would suggest, again, going back to the age you are right now, okay, both of you guys have great cars, okay? You have great cars. So what I would start doing right now is go figure out what it would cost to replace your car or something comparable, whatever that is, and then start making payments. As the go see. Okay, if I were to go borrow money to buy my car right now, I'd have to come up with 50, 60 grand, whatever that is. Okay, and so therefore, and divide that by 60 months. Okay, divide that by 5 years, which is 60 months, and this is what takes huge discipline. But if you do it one time, you will never not do it. You start saving, making the payments to yourself. Whenever you get your check, Rylan, you go, well, this month I got to make my car payment. And after 60 months, and then all of a sudden what'll happen is you'll watch the cash build up. And then when you're able to go car shopping with a checkbook, there's nothing like it, where you're able to go, I want that new Tahoe, and they'll go, oh, well, we got great rates, it's no money down. We go, yeah, you can hold that, Sparky. We don't work that way in my house. Well, I'm just going to cut you a check for this. The finance guy is going to be so pissed because he's not going to sell you an extended warranty. You're not going to finance it through him. He's not going to get his spiff because you're just going to, I'm just going to write a check.
Just to buy it.
Just to buy it, pay for it outright. And the thing, you guys, this is something I want you to really remember right now, because this was just told to me, or I heard somebody say it the other day. You guys are wealthier than I am. Do you know that? You guys have the greatest amount, all three of you. You're wealthier than I am, and here's why. You've got more time. I can guarantee you right now, all three of you, if you were to go up to Rupert Murdoch or any other billionaire, and you were to say to them, I will trade you. Well, no, let's reverse it. Any of you, would you trade your age for Rupert Murdoch's billions?
No.
No.
I mean, if he's 80-something years old, would you say, oh, sure, get to live out my days as an old fart, but with $1 billion, or would you stay where you are right now?
Stay where I'm at.
Yeah, I would definitely rather have time.
That's one of the greatest things that you guys can say right now, so leverage it. Take advantage of it. You have time. And if you will just in small and save for the things that you want to purchase. And here's another thing. Don't fall for the bullshit that advertisers and American society and everything will try to sell you, which is that no one can ever pay cash for a house. No one can ever pay cash for a car. All these things that we've been trained that you have to finance, you absolutely do not. You have to set some standards and some principles. And again, kind of like the credit card. Let's say that you end up and you do decide, I'm going to finance this thing. Okay, just be very thoughtful and deliberate about it. And so you can't afford to pay cash for a $300,000 house. Do you have 150 saved up? You know, these people that take advantage of, 5% down or no money down back in those days, you don't have to do that. Set your own rules and your own parameters. And it's like you mentioned Dave Ramsey, live like no one else, and then one day you will live like no one else, right? So that was a good soapbox to get on. What other questions? Because now, Rylan, you're about to have to start really, you got to start worrying about saving for retirement or anything like that. You got any questions with regard to that?
No, I think you actually answered it whenever you said definitely remember just to spend less than you spend less than you make.
Yeah.
Like use 80% of your income, do something else with the 20%. I think that's really good advice.
And here's the thing you have to realize. If you're making, let's say you make $50K right now. And so I'm sitting here telling you, wait a minute, I'm making $50,000, and so I'm only bringing home around $30,000. So Dad, you're really telling me that that of my 30,000, so let's do that math. So let's say that if you're making $30,000 right now times 0.20, it's $6,000 divided by 12. So yeah, I want to make sure I had that right and didn't embarrass myself on the podcast. So $500 a month. So you say, Dad, you're telling me that I'm going to need to take $500 a month right now for giving and for saving? Yeah, that's what I'm saying. $250 for each. Yeah, that's how much you need to give. You go, I can't afford it right now. I want to wait. Here's what people do. They'll say, I tell you what, when I'm making more money, then I'll start doing it. And the question I always have for people is, do you really think it's going to be easier when the $500 a month becomes $10,000 a month because you're really crushing it just because you're making more money? No, it's always a percentage and it's always relative. And if you'll do it now while the dollars are small, it makes it so much easier when the dollars get big to put it aside. And then another thing is it sounds cliche, but with you guys talking about creativity, lean into things like creativity and experiences that you enjoy, and you'll find that most of the crap that people buy, it's a Abby and I, we've talked about it. It's a dopamine hit for just a second, and it never lasts. There's not one person, I can guarantee you right now, and if you're a listener out there and I'm wrong, then you're probably weird. But so let me hear you. I guarantee you, there's not one person that feels the same after they buy their brand new car. I don't care how nice the car is. I bet they don't feel the same on day 80 that they felt day one. In fact, probably by like day 15, the new wears off so fast. And in fact, research has shown that with regard to dopamine hits, wanting produces more dopamine than getting. Mm-hmm. So always remember that. If you guys start to think to yourselves, I want this thing so badly, and you all of a sudden start kind of feeling excited about it, and you start shopping for it, and you want to go out and get it, just know this. It's never going to get as good as it is right then. It's like Christmas Eve. Mm-hmm. Christmas Day, we love Christmas Day. Christmas Day is awesome. But Christmas Day, that's when it's supposed to be the best, right? Because you've got everything. You've got the gifts. You've got the golden goose that you wanted. You've got the, whatever the gift of the year is, your off-white sneakers or whatever. You've got that stuff. So it's supposed to be awesome, but it's really not. If you'll watch, the best moment, the biggest dopamine rush is when you're sitting there holding the box, right? Mm-hmm. It's downhill from there. And here's another thing. If you think back over the course of your life, you guys are young, and I can tell you as an old fart now. And when you look back over the course of your life, if somebody asks you the question, what are the things throughout the course of your life that you remember that made you really, really happy? Well, I'm going to do that. I'm going to do experiment. Carmine, looking over the course of your life, if you had to just stop for a moment and think of something that brought you really great joy, that you just look back on it and you go, that was amazing, what would it be?
I have a couple of things, but I guess I could go back to high school when I competed in DECA, which is where I fell in love with like finance and marketing. Mm-hmm. When we would go to the international competitions, I was competing against people from Germany, Italy, China, Canada, and everything. I think that was like a really great moment because I was competing in a business realm against other people my age that are all from different areas and cultures. And
yeah, it's really cool. Abby, what would yours be?
I'm going to sound lame, but pretty much any time I'm really sucked into a book, that feeling immediately comes to mind. I love the feeling of like being in the middle of a book and knowing like, oh, when am I going to have like an hour to sit down and read it? And I need to know what happens. That just gets me so freaking excited. And then it's funny because then after I finish the book, it does kind of suck. It's not as fun. It's really satisfying. You're like, oh, yeah, done. But then I'm like, man, like the butterflies kind of go away. But then that's the beauty of reading. And then I go find another book that produces that same effect. Yeah. But yeah, books really give me joy if I really like them.
What about you, Rye?
Mine might also sound lame, but it's so true. High school sports. Volleyball games, my winning state in soccer, I would go back to that moment anytime. Or the first Alabama football game that I ever went to. Mm-hmm. Or the SEC championship 2020 against Florida. We won.
Nice. So, well, this is great. I'm glad I did this experiment because did you notice that not one of you said, oh, Dad, it was the time that you bought me that thing.
Yeah.
It wasn't a thing. Yeah. It was all experiences. And here's the thing too, that's also unique. It's kind of, y'all are making me look good right now on the Jason Wright Show. I promise folks we didn't focus on this. Every single one of you listed something that required at least some amount of struggle. Getting through a book, you can't quickly do that. You can't. Mm-hmm. You have to put in the time. Competition and finance, you have to put in the time, and it's a competition. Sports, you have to put in the time, the heart, the ups, the downs. And again, the going to the games, well, even that's experiential, right? Mm-hmm. So that's what all research shows, is that almost every single human being on earth, whenever they're questioned about the things that they enjoyed most in life, there's some form of struggle, pain almost. There's something that
anticipation.
It's you know what mine is, that the one that always leaps to mind is whenever I won my city council race. Yeah. And it was because of the hard work and everything, just thinking, oh my gosh, is this going to happen? I don't really, I'm not even in politics anymore, but it was a competition that was just, it was fierce, and so that's what I tell you guys. Always remember that. Whenever you think and here's the thing too. What'll be cool is when you're saving up for something that you really, really want, when you start to get your financial house in order and you decide what you want that financial house to look like, which means that you're free. Debt free is the best, right? No debt equals freedom. Okay. Once you start saving up, and let's say you stroke the check, especially for the car, a depreciating asset that's really it's a really finely shaped piece of metal and gadgets and plastic and whatever. I mean, and they are beautiful, and some of them. But once you do it, I guarantee you, what'll happen is you won't look back on it 10 years after you've purchased it as, oh my God, I love this car. It is amazing. You'll enjoy the saving up, the working, and then the day that you were able to walk in with that cashier's check. That's what you will enjoy. So always remember when you think that you're about to make a purchase, or especially if you're about to go into debt for it, that it's fleeting. It's really experiences. And what experience? And then also, I know you guys learned this in economics, but always apply the opportunity costs. Always think to yourself, if I do this thing, what unlimited of other things am I saying no to? If I say yes to this purchase, what are all the other experiences, purchases, you name it, that I'm saying no to? And if it rises up and says, yeah, I'm willing to say no to everything else for this one thing, okay, cool. That will happen.
You've made the right choice.
That's how you've made yeah, exactly. But a lot of people just willy-nilly, they never stop to think about, wait a minute, what am I saying no to by saying yes to this?
Yeah.
Right? So, all right. Well, I guess we can wrap up. We've been riffing for about an hour. So, Abigail, what's on the menu for tomorrow?
Oh, okay. Well, we always do our Greenberg smoked turkey, which has nothing to do with me. I didn't. Yeah, but mashed potatoes. I'm thinking, or I was actually thinking roasted potatoes and then mashed sweet potatoes. I know Rylan loves mashed potatoes, but I
like mashed sweet potatoes.
Crazy mashed sweet potatoes. Just wait.
We're gonna deal with sweet potatoes tomorrow.
Homemade green bean casserole. My homemade steakhouse style mac and cheese.
My favorite.
I don't know how to pronounce it. I think it's pão de queijo, which are just Brazilian cheese rolls just that I discovered at Fogo de Chao forever ago, and I've been making them for Thanksgiving ever since I fell in love with them. I think they're better than like dinner rolls. And maybe a salad. And then I think that's it. And then homemade pumpkin pie.
Boom.
Yeah.
I feel like I should try and make something.
Yeah.
To bring.
Come on down.
Do we have stuffing?
What?
Do we have stuffing?
Of course.
Yes, we have stuffing.
Yes.
That
What's
Jimlin's
something
grandma.
that I could throw in there that you think I could
You
make?
can help me make the mac and cheese or the green, anything. You can help me make anything. Or if you want to contribute something for you can make deviled eggs. I know you, don't you like those?
Yeah.
I don't like deviled eggs, but that's easy.
They're
And
fine.
okay.
Maybe I'll make a dessert.
Well, ponder it. Let me know.
I'm going to contribute.
Yeah.
Carmine, do you have any suggestions, any requests now that we're here at the last minute? Folks, I'm going to air this, I think, probably tomorrow during Thanksgiving, so if not tonight. So do you have any requests?
No, just thank you for having me and
Yeah.
giving me a good meal.
That was nice.
Yeah.
That was sweet.
Yeah, well done. Ass kiss. Kiss ass. I'm just kidding.
Ass kiss.
Yeah, ass kiss. Yeah, I can't even say it right. I wasn't serious. I was just kidding, sort of. All right, well, with that, anything else y'all want to discuss?
Nar.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah, this is fun.
All right, let me get you on here. Carmine, do you have anything before we wrap this up?
No, I'm all good.
All right. Well, glad you're here. Girls, I love you.
Love you.
Love you.
Very thankful for you. Abby, I'm so glad to know that you're finding your art.
Oh, thank you.
I nearly busted that out whenever you were talking earlier.
Really?
Yeah. Sometimes we're gonna have to come on here and not be so serious and like share
I know,
something.
we're really a lot less poised in real life, I feel like.
Oh, yeah.
Our conversations get a little crazier off screen.
Yeah.
But
Do you want to sing for everybody our very own Christmas carol that we wrote when y'all were little girls?
Maybe we save that for Christmas. Save it for around Christmas time.
Sing your part. Just
I'll do it with you.
come on. Come on. I'm your father. Do as you're told. 1, 2, 3.
Reindeer,
Reindeer, reindeer, reindeer.
Johnny's coming home for Christmas with a reindeer in his pocket. Is this embarrassing you, Riley? Johnny's coming home for Christmas with his mama's picture in a locket. Johnny's coming home for Christmas. Everything is gonna be all right. All right, that's right. That's it. I won't make y'all do that anymore. I won't make the listeners.
I didn't mind.
Good.
Not having it.
All right, everybody. Happy Thanksgiving. Thanks for joining the girls and I and Carmine. Happy Thanksgiving. We love y'all. I am out.
Bye.
Bye.